Bernanke has to say at Jackson Hole, Wyoming. There's a lot of pressure on him to do nothing. I know that the governor of Texas, Perry, came out and slammed Bernanke and said that if he did anything, it would be almost borderline treason. So if he doesn't do anything, and this is a Canadian perspective, if he doesn't do anything, wouldn't that be treasonous as well? Because they need to get the economy going, regardless of whether there's an election going on. Some of the things in the newsletter that were quite fascinating this week, we have our chart of the week, and it's from Bloomberg. Burgers are beating steaks as shoppers tighten their belts. U.S. meat consumers are swapping premium steaks for cheaper ground beef as a concern for high unemployment and slower economic growth forces families to trim their food budgets. You can see that chart. Dave Ramsey, who's a financial commentator in the United States, put it this way with the U.S. debt. If the U.S. government was a family, they would be making $58,000 a year, yet they'd spend $75,000 a year and have a $327,000 credit card debt. They are currently proposing big spending cuts to reduce their spending to $72,000 a year. There are the actual proportions of the federal budget and debt in the United States reduced to a level that we can all understand. And that is very, very true. Bill Gross from PIMCO came out via Twitter this week and said, recession likely as markets recognize the impotency of policymakers. The city of Rockford, Illinois, is getting a little darker under a plan to save $500,000 by removing 2,400 streetlights. Newspapers are mysteriously vanishing from racks across the United States. Thieves are swiping Sunday papers from driveways, and others are digging through people's trash looking for discarded newspapers. Authorities and newspaper executives attribute the rash of nationwide thefts to extreme couponing, a growing trend in which shoppers are using dozens, sometimes hundreds of coupons at one time to vastly reduce their grocery bill. The average teen unemployment rate in the United States, in Washington, D.C., 50%. Jobless claims were up in the United States. And Harold, when you hear a statistic like I'm going to read, it's no surprising the United States is in trouble. A California prison guard with 5 years on the job can retire at 50 and get a full pension under the current rules. And I've read different stories and included them in the newsletter in the past where there are people who are retiring in their mid-40s and even in their early 50s in the state of New York that are retiring with $100,000, $200,000 pensions. This type of thing is just not sustainable.
No, it is not, obviously. And the fact is that that's why the markets are doing what they're doing. You know, the funny thing is that a lot of my very wealthy friends are only into stocks and real estate and obviously are hurting very, very badly. And when I would make my predictions on gold and silver, they would, in a way, laugh. I mean, some of these guys were worth $50, $100 million. Anyways, just got an email from one of my friends saying CNBC must be preaching your book, Gold at 2,500, and now upcoming it looks like a segment on colored diamonds, 9:30. Watch it if you aren't already. Next thing they'll be doing is a feature on restaurants Harold Siegel recommends. But again, everybody has their own
salad.
Everybody, stay away from the seafood salad. Everybody has their own way of doing things. Everybody has their own views. Again, our view was not the popular view at the beginning, but it's gaining more and more popularity. Our radio show is tremendously popular. We have tens and tens of thousands of people that listen to our show worldwide. Again, all we want is to bring to you the information that you need to make the right decision. These are troubling times. These are confusing times that most people don't really know what to do, and most of the time in those situations they do nothing. That's the worst thing that you could do. I'd much rather see you sitting in cash at this point here than do absolutely nothing. If your money is sitting in paper assets and stocks, you have reason to be concerned. Again, I hear from clients every single day and listeners to the show asking what they should do. And again, these are times that you want to be more conservative. You want to have hard assets that will do very well. History tells you that they will do very well during these times, and they are. If most of your money is sitting in the stock market, either get into cash right now or put some of it into gold and silver and diamonds, and you should do extremely well. If your retirement funds are sitting in mutual funds, convert that to precious metals. And again, you can get through these times by sitting there and doing nothing. You're just going to get more and more stressed, and you're going to lose more and more money. As we've been doing this show, when the stock market opened up this morning in the U.S., it actually was up 100 points, and now it's down 50 points on the day and dropping. Again, the last thing in the world that Randy and I want to see is for the listeners to our show to not take our advice and to be in the markets that are not going to do well. Get into gold, silver, and diamonds. You'll get through these next 5 years extremely well. And again, as I always say, 90% of the money is made by 10% of the people. We want to make sure our listeners are in that 10%.
Thank you, Harold.
My pleasure. I wish everybody a wonderful weekend and a very profitable day.
To invest in precious metals, Harold recommends Worldwide Precious Metals, wwpmc.com, the telephone number 1-866-623-2002. Speak with Harold about the Argyle Dream Collection, rarecoloreddiamonds.com, the website, telephone number 1-800-432-1022. You can get our free weekly newsletter from Worldwide or Harold. That's it. Another edition of the World Financial Report on radio with Harold Siegel and me, Randy Marshall. We will talk to you next week.